current outbreak, people have, before the centers were set up, people maybe did have some fear about the centers and all, but now the problem is because there are not enough healthcare workers. I'll speak about Sierra Leone, I'm not sure about the other countries. There are not enough healthcare workers. So to complement the staff, they've taken what we call volunteers. They've taken people from the community. These people are illiterate. Most have not gone to school, but they've promised them $100 a week as a risk allowance. Yeah. So you've got the centers. So those people are working there as sprayers, they're working there as cleaners, they're guards, okay, minimal risk. So everyone who goes into the red zone is given the $100, including the nurses. So these people are only given 3 days training. And we're talking about people maybe who have never worked maybe in a healthcare facility, so you just give them the basics. They do not know, the reasons they're doing things. You just tell them, no, you're going to dress like this. When you clean, you're going to clean like this. But they do not know, maybe even the basics or maybe of microbiology, because there's not enough time. So after that, we take these people, we put them there, and then they start to work. They're not working because maybe it's my community. They're working because they want the money, because most of them are very poor. So in that respect, and people are actually fighting to work in these areas. So that's when maybe some of the stigma fell away, because everybody wanted to work in these areas so that they could get some money. But before the establishment of the CCCs, there was a problem. Stigma was a problem, even with families. But now, because there's some monetary gain, everybody wants to work in these places. With these people, even when you're teaching them, and you have to keep, for me it was very challenging, because I'd lose I'm a very patient person, and you're trying to make people understand this is your life, can you listen to what I'm saying? But you find them chatting, and and you ask them to repeat what you said, they have not heard, they have not understood, but they're just interested in going in. They were the thing that excited them the most was wearing the PPE, because it looked like so much fun. So they put on the PPE to go into these areas, but they just did not understand the danger, although death is all around them, but they didn't understand maybe the danger of actually going to places. They were just interested in the money. And when you try and highlight this in reports, it was like, okay, there was no other choice, and people will be interested in per diems, because you give them money, like when you're training them, in food, and but even after you now put them there and you're like, okay, can you demonstrate, even on the day when you're doing a dry run, you can actually see that people actually do not understand. 3 days was not enough. So
which country was this?
In Sierra Leone. I think for all CCCs, because I think in Liberia they established CCCs, the care centers, in like the communities that were hotspots. So in Sierra Leone they also established these places. So the orphans that were being, like if a parent dies, a baby's in the center, they would look for a survivor. A person maybe who's survived and gone into the community, and they pay the survivors to look after these children. And then they were also paying some survivors, now that they were actually quite a number, so they would pay them as well to be employees, like inside, because there was minimal or no risk to them as survivors.
Also psychosocial support, which is very important. So desired situation would be to cover particular groups of population with psychosocial support. We have numbers of people who died in community, number of orphans, number of widows. Then we can have the exact number in particular community. What is coverage of psychosocial support to these people? Did we cover everything? Did we cover all or not? And what prevented us to do that? So in recovery period, psychosocial support is important. Going also with, we didn't mention in first round, stigmatization, which is important in community, to avoid stigma, because these people who suffered and survivor, they have to come back to community, to normal life. And also, as we said, with restarting gathering in cultural activities, sport activities. We can measure how many concerts did we have after the outbreak, how many football match happened after the outbreak in recovery phase. So it's a kind of process of normalization, and I think it's measurable.
Source of protein. So you can't just say stop it. You need to really do a lot of education for them to know the need to stop it, or to probably cook it very well before eating. You see, in Ghana it's quite understandable. People are quite educated, so when you say stop, they ask for reasons and then people can stop it or even minimize. Okay, but when you get to the very rural setting, it is quite difficult to tell them just stop, because that's the only source of protein. So how can you deal with this? Is it going to tell them that are you going to scare them to stop, or you are going to be frank with them, let them understand why at this point in time there is the need to stop it? Or if all ways are failing, how best can we cook it such that we can avoid the disease? So in our communication, these are the things that we are doing. Questions come up each day. If you say we should stop, what are the alternatives that you have for us? So we need to consider all these things in the information that we need to put out.
I wanted to give an example in line with what she said about helping people change behaviors. A few years ago, we had an outbreak of anthrax in the country, and it came through hippos. A lot of hippos started dying, and as we are saying, source of protein. People found red meat, which they could easily access. So they were eating, and people started getting sick. So the initial stage was to tell them to stop eating that meat, because it's what was bringing them the problem of anthrax. But you know what the people had to do? Some of them actually started burying the meat, and they were pretending that they've stopped consuming the meat, but they were burying the meat. Yeah. So it took more than just telling them to stop, but working with the communities for them to appreciate the dangers involved, so that they eventually were able to change their behaviors, and then they even led the health workers to places where they had buried the meat. So helping communities change behaviors should be more than just telling, but engaging in dialogue. Like you've said, helping them understand what is it we are dealing with, and what are the effects of what is available, and how can we work around it, so that they even propose solutions, and we work together with the communities.